I'm Sebastian, and this is your Basic Maths class, and I'm reading Goggles by Ezra Keats. Archie, look what I found! Peter shouted through the pipe. Motorcycle goggles. Archie watched Peter through the hole. He listened and smiled. Peter ran to the hideout and put on the goggles. Aren't they great? He asked. Archie smiled and nodded. Peter said, "Let's go over to your house and sit on the steps." Archie nodded. They started off. Suddenly, some big boys appeared. "Give us those goggles, kid." "No, they're mine," Peter said. His dog Willie growled. "Archie, hold Willie," said Peter. Peter stuffed the goggles into his pocket and put up his fists. Archie gasped. Peter turned to see if something was wrong. The next thing he knew, he was knocked to the ground. Everyone he was knocked down to the ground. Everybody started at the goggles. Before anyone could move, Willie snatched the goggles and ran through a hole in the fence. The big boys chased after him. "Meet you at the hideout," whispered Peter. "You go this way, I'll go that way. They won't know where we're going. Willie will find us." Peter raced to the hideout. He sank down as low as he could. Footsteps. The big boys, they followed me. Peter held his breath. "Archie!" "What was that?" Archie looked through the hole. Archie stared at the pipe. Suddenly he spoke. "Here, Willie, through the pipe, fast." "Willie!" Peter peeked through the hole. The big boys were coming closer and closer and closer and closer. Peter took a deep breath. Then he yelled, "Through the pipe! Willie, meet us at the parking lot! Head for the parking lot!" One of the big boys yelled, "Let's go!" Peter, Archie, and Willie crept out of the hideout. When they reached the fence, they got up and ran. They got to Archie's house. Archie laughed and said, "We sure fooled them, didn't we?" "We sure did," said Peter, handing him the goggles. "Things look real fine now," Archie said. "They sure do," said Peter. This book is about goggles, and so he said, "Meet me at a park and meet me at there." They were out at the hideout, and Willie was there, and and he found some goggles, and so they started walking to one of the boys' house, and some bad boys came, and they said, "Give us those goggles!" And then he said, "No, they're mine." And then the big boys started running toward him with fists, and he put his fist up and then stuffed them in his pocket. Then they got into a fight, and then Peter fell down, and so then they said, "Meet us at the parking lot." Meet us at the hideout, and Willie came, and the other two little boys, and so they all met together, and they said, "Meet us at the parking lot, Willie." And then the big boys shouted, "Go and get him." Then when the big boys yelled, "We're going to go to the parking lot," Willie came there, and then they were going a different direction to their house, to one of the boys' houses. And then he said, "We sure tricked them." And he said, "Didn't we?" And they said, "We sure did." And that was the end. Bye.